Hearing loss does affect both cats and dogs, and though there's any number of reasons that can cause hearing loss, there are plenty of those that can actually be prevented, both with awareness and some simple steps. But it's also very important to know that if your dog or cat does develop hearing loss, they can still live a very rich and full life with the appropriate training and modifications. So there are preventable causes of hearing loss in both dogs and cats, and that list would include such things as trauma, toxins, foreign bodies, chronic noise, and then certainly chronic ear infections. Trauma to the head would be something if you're painting around the house and moving a ladder and your dog is your shadow and they wind up taking a blow to the side of their head. That can certainly cause some problems, obviously, with hearing loss, but also very importantly can cause some other problems as well. Another thing on the list of potential preventable causes of hearing loss would be certain toxicities, and one of the ones that we think about mostly in veterinary medicine are some of the antibiotics of the aminoglycoside class, and these are fairly common antibiotics, and one of the most common ways that they cause problems with hearing loss or ototoxicity is when they're inappropriately instilled into the ear to treat. And that often sadly happens when people put things in their pets' ears without actually having their veterinarian evaluate the integrity of the ear canal and the eardrum before starting treatment. So it is very important to check with your veterinarian and to confirm what's going in your pet's ears with every possible infection. Another fairly common cause of hearing loss would be things like foreign bodies or things that wind up in the ear that shouldn't be there. Especially in certain times of the year, one of the big ones in certain parts of the country would be grass seed awns, or what we more commonly call foxtails. These are really painful parts of the grass seed that actually wind up migrating down into dogs' ears. They can also get into their paws or up their snout. But when they wind up in the ear, they cause a very significant amount of pain and then predispose them to infections, and they themselves can also cause damage to the eardrum. And if you spend a lot of time cleaning your pet's ears and you're doing it inappropriately perhaps, and maybe using Q-tips, which we always tend to discourage against, if a piece of that Q-tip breaks off and winds up down in your dog's ear canal, that can certainly set them up for a problem, as well as cause direct damage to their eardrum, which can lead to hearing loss and other problems. Another one on the list of preventable causes of hearing loss would be repeated exposure to loud noises. We do want to be very aware that those noises can cause hearing loss as well as some other problems. So the last item on the list are chronic ear infections, and typically for dogs that winds up being either a bacterial and or a yeast infection, and with cats we typically tend to think about ear mites. These are very common occurrences in both cats and dogs, and they can lead to hearing loss in the long term. It is important to recognize that your cats and dogs can lead a happy, healthy, wonderful life even with hearing loss. So remember that and treat them like any pet you know and love, and hug them frequently.